Welcome to Inside Style. I am your host, George Worrell, and thank you for tuning in today. Today's topic is powerhouse leadership, elevating women in the venue and event industry. I am honored and happy to talk to a friend of mine. Today on Inside Style, we welcome Joyce Leveston, a trailblazer with over 30 years of experience in venue and convention center management, known for her commanding expertise in facility operations and event logistics. Joyce has played a key role in some of the most high-profile events across North America, from Super Bowls to president inaugurations, global corporate and humanitarian gatherings. Please forgive me. Passionate about leadership, especially for women and women of color in hospitality, Joyce is dedicated to creating a space of opportunities for the next generation of change makers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Joyce Leveston. Joyce, how are you?
My friend, how are you? Thank you
I
so
am
much for having
good.
me.
It's so good to see, you're in one of my favorite cities other than Washington, D.C., in New York. And being the head of the Javits Center, we're going to get to that in a moment. But let's talk about your journey to getting there. What city and state do you hail from?
So originally, George, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. So this is a
Ah,
little brown girl from Cincinnati. I actually started my career, however, in San Diego, California, some 35 years ago. And
mm.
I've been in the space. We originally opened the San Diego Convention Center in 1989.
Okay. How did you know that that's something that was a career path for you? Did you think about that growing up, in college, in high school? How was that for you that you decided this path of event planning and doing all the wonderful things that you do?
I got to tell you, George, I didn't. Absolutely not. I was in college. I was a Navy wife, young Navy wife at the ripe age of 20 years old.
Hmm.
And I had moved and relocated to San Diego. I happened to actually be planning a Navy wives trip to go visit our husbands who would leave for 6 to 8 months at a time. And
Uh-huh.
so they had these wives kind of clubs that would come together at the USO and plan these trips to go visit our husbands. And while I was doing that one year, I looked outside and I saw the biggest hole I had ever seen in my life. And I said, "What is going on over there? That's the biggest hole I've ever seen." And one of the Navy, the admiral's wife said, "Oh, yeah, we're going to be building a new convention center. The San Diego Convention Center is being built and it's going to be complete in a couple of years." And I watched them build it from the ground up. And I decided at that moment that I needed to work there, that that was a place that was going to be a place where it was going to be inviting to a lot of people and all these different people from everywhere will come visit. And it just sounded like a really cool job. And I didn't really care what I did. When I applied, I ended up being a telephone operator, but I applied for housekeeping. I checked all the boxes, George. I was like, I just want to work in that building. It was
Okay.
a beautiful building. And I just really just wanted to be a part of that, something
Mhm.
fun and exciting that was happening in San Diego at the time.
And that led to other opportunities for yourself
It
to say,
did. It
to grow.
did.
Hmm.
I tell you, I drank the Kool-Aid. We had probably the top leaders in the industry opened up and was running it from an executive VP level. I've
Hmm.
always been brought up in this industry under the top leader. So I just feel not really lucky, but really blessed that this is just a calling. Like I felt like the industry called me. I didn't really call it. It called for me. And from a telephone operator, I learned the business of just guest services and the importance of the guest experience under an amazing tutelage of Tom Leekler and Carol Wallace. Those were my two leaders that were my examples that saw things in me I didn't see in myself.
Hmm.
And they just made sure that I had a seat at the table,
And
that
that's
I
what I
was
was going to
included
ask
in
you.
that
Yeah,
process. Yes.
that's what I was going to ask you about. mentorship and being able to do something and someone else seeing something in you that you may not see yourself, and to allow that to grow and to give you that opportunity. Was that something that kind of pushed you when when that door was open, you were ready to go in?
Yeah, and it was interesting the way it all happened. Like, I didn't really understand what was happening when it was happening. Like I said, people saw things in me I didn't see in myself. Um, I was blessed enough to have the kind of leaders that understood the importance of soft skills, right? So they knew I was a college student. They knew that I was going to college to better myself, and I was getting this degree in communications. But they didn't really. It wasn't that part of it. I think it was that the soft skills of how my personality, my smile. I remember Tom Liegler saying, "You know why I hired you?" And I remember him and saying to him, "You didn't hire me, Terry hired me." Because that was the person I interviewed with. He goes, "Oh no, I hired you because I saw you walk across the room with 20,000 people applying for jobs." He said, "You never broke your stride and you never broke your smile." So he said, "I said, whatever she applied for, they're going to see that smile through the phone. If she's a telephone operator, they'll see it when they greet her in guest services." So he saw something in me, and he understood that there's certain elements of people sometimes, your personality, your
Mm,
energy, how you shift the room when you come in. And those are the things that people would say to me. When you walk into the room, you shift the energy and you have a very positive energy. We can teach you the things that you don't know, but what you have is something special. You know how to connect to people. I really didn't understand that. To be honest with you, I was young and I was like, I just thought I talked too much, right? Or I was very opinionated. So I was like, well, I don't think we should do that. Or I think we could do it this way. But they liked that. They liked that I wasn't afraid to speak up. They liked that I could be in a room and I used my innovative creativity to add some value to the spaces I was in. And
mm.
as a result, they saw that I could have a career in this industry. So they saw it in me way before I saw it in me, for sure.
Wow. What's one event that's pushed you as a leader, and what did you get out of it?
I will tell you, one of the biggest events that happened is when I shifted from San Diego to Houston. That was the very first changeover that I made. And
Mhm.
when I did so, I did as a director in a building that was being expanded or renovated. There was an expansion happening. There was a hotel being built, and they were going to open up this expansion in a hotel with hosting the NFL Super Bowl to town, to Houston. And I had friends who had left San Diego and was back in their hometown, which was Houston, and like insisted that I would come and help their team get ready for this exciting opportunity. I say that to say, not only did it get me to Houston, but literally like the year after I got there, Katrina happened. And as a result of Katrina happening, the convention center, the George R. Brown Convention Center, ended up being turned into a shelter
Mm,
and providing services for thousands of families and people coming over from New Orleans. It changed my life. It changed how buildings were used, and
mm,
how they could be used. In a time of emergency, but it changed lives, and it changed mine to the point where it's probably the one thing that um, I'm most proud of is how we could use the industry for good,
mm,
and not just about business, commercial business, but really for good, for
mm.
human lives.
Human lives. You also, and I've known you for years too, I know about your passion for what you do, but your passion for empowering women and empowering women of color. There are only two women that I know, one in New York, you, and Angie Gates here at Events DC, that's doing what you're doing. How do you continue to inspire yourself, inspire others, women of color, women in general, and to push them? How do you think the same barriers exist? Do you think it's harder? What are your thoughts about that, being at the level that you're at, about women coming in and women of color? in the industry that you're at?
So I will tell you again, when I talk about the two trailblazers that really saw things in me I didn't see in myself, one of them was Carol Wallace.
Mm,
Carol Wallace actually happened to also be from Cincinnati, Ohio, right? So I saw a brown, and she happened to be a woman of color.
mm,
So when she was leading, she was the first person of color, woman of color, to run a tier one convention center. And she was very well respected in the industry. She was amazing. So I will tell you that um, s- being able to be under a tutelage like that and making sure that having someone that's always like made sure that you had a seat at the table. All she's ever asked for is that I would pay it forward. She would
mm,
always say, pay it forward, make sure that you are bringing in and mentoring. It's your responsibility to make sure you mentor in the next generation. And so it's been something that in this 35 years, I have probably mentored and supported so many young women and young people of color, both men and women.
mm,
But obviously, my connection to women to make sure that people look like me have opportunities in these spaces. And I've grown, I can't tell you, probably hundreds of young people and probably I would say a couple hundred of people of color just to get them in the industry, excited about being in the industry, understanding that there's a place for them in the industry. They've
mm,
all taken different routes.
mm,
Not all of them have taken every step that I've taken, but right now I just hired my chief of staff. That young lady has worked for me in Washington, D.C. as an administrative assistant.
mm,
She's worked for me in Miami as a director of events. She's worked for me in Chicago as event and operations director, and now she's my chief of staff. So it just goes to show you that who knew that in 2010, when she met me, that in 2025, she would be working for me and I would be the CEO.
mm.
But now that's an example of that she knows that there's nothing that she can't do.
What does it take? Because, I started my career as an event planner from the restaurant industry, and it's hard work. And what are the teeth that you have to be able to know that that is something that you want to do? Also, too, that there's so much more to do in that arena than planning events. Can we just talk about that for a little bit? Because when I started,
Absolutely.
I just thought, I did the mayor's ball, that's it. But there are
Yeah.
so many other.
There's so many things. Well, one of the things that I do when I go into the universities, when I go to HBCUs, because I go back into HBCUs and I really talk about this industry as an industry, a industry that creates careers, right? So I explain to them that this industry, yes, you can work in catering. Yes, you can be a general manager. Yes, you can, but you can, if you're interested in accounting, we need accountants, right? I need CFOs. I need people that are head of procurement. The wonderful thing about convention centers specifically, not just live events, but convention centers specifically, is that we are an industry. I always say we're a city within a city. We need engineers, we need lawyers, we need finance people, there's nothing. We need sales managers, we need event managers. There's every single thing that you can think of short of maybe a doctor
Mhm,
um, that work in this industry and work in the building. So, if you're thinking about the engineer path, I need engineers, right?
mhm,
If you're thinking about the finance path, I need CFOs, I need accountants, I need controllers, I need purchasing managers and directors. There is nothing. I need marketing people. I need innovative people. I need IT people, right? We run our own IT organization company. We run our own labor broker for handling all of the unions and the union laborers. We run all that. We are a city and a company within a company. There's nothing from an entrepreneurial perspective that we don't do in this space. And so I go after those young people who don't think about this industry as something that they would want to do. And I introduce them into a whole new world. And I think that is the key. The key is creating an ecosystem where you can go into the universities, you can go into the HBCUs, news. They can see people like me that talk about starting as a telephone operator and now being a CEO. And so they're like, wow, I didn't even know I had a career. When I usually leave FAMU and I leave Morgan, or if I leave Bowie, when I walk away, my LinkedIn ratings go up because everybody's on LinkedIn and they're checking me out. Like, I want to work for that lady, or she sparked something in me that I didn't know. And I talk to them about their North Star. What do you think you want to do? And some of them will say, they might be sports, because I tell them there's careers beyond the field. Sometimes I go in and I speak with, sports kids that are athletes. And I want them to know not everybody, what the true percentages are of them making it in the NFL or the NBA. But maybe you become a general manager and you're operating that stadium, your favorite stadium that you go see for your favorite team. Maybe you become that general manager of that stadium or the general manager of a team. So I talk to them about building just skill sets, right?
Mm.
Leadership skill sets, things that can transform and transition into a career opportunity that they've never thought about before.
That is amazing. I was just sitting here thinking, you travel so much, darling. Do you have space for maybe a valet? I would, you don't have to just feed me much. Just kind of pack me in the suitcase, and when you're going to Italy and you're going to, France and all of these places, you may need a valet. I'm open to it if you.
You're open to valet. There's probably a few people open to that.
That's right. So let
I
me.
would tell you that is so much fun. I get so many people saying, God, I just want to be like, pack me in your suitcase. I just want to be
Yeah.
like alone to just kind of hang out with you. But the opportunities that I have to go and represent this organization and this industry internationally, New York is probably a very loud voice. The city itself is known for international business. And I really just want Javis to be the space where the world gathers, right? That when you think of international business and you think of New York, you also think of Javits. Like, where would I want to go? I would want to have my event in Javits. We are Javits on the Hudson with a waterfront view. Like, I talk about the sustainability efforts and commitments that we have. And so when I go over to Italy and I go over to Germany and I go to Greece and I talk about our sustainability efforts, what we have in terms of our green roof and our farm, how we are changing not only the planet, we are building new careers when you think about what sustainability is, but also we are making a difference in our communities, right? And how we live. I mean, you would think that we have a 7 acre green roof on top of the
I had
Javits
no
in the
idea.
middle of New York, right?
Yeah.
That we're growing 60 plus crops in a farm, that we use 80% of that inside of our catering offerings. And we're doing a farm to table experience in our building, or we're educating, from elementary to colleges. We're educating them in the field of farming and growing and sustainability. So, it's a lot to do, but it's a lot to be proud of, and it's a lot to brag about. I tell them we don't talk enough about it, but I'm going to change that. Coming to New York, let me tell you, everybody's going to know what we're doing, but not just that. We want to not just do it, but we want to lead in innovation
Mhm.
in this industry, and we can do it. I mean, we're kind of behind the 8 ball when we really think about what sustainability is and the importance of the planet in this industry. But we're growing, and the world is changing, and so I just want to be a leader in that space. And I'm excited that we can create new careers and we can do things that have meaningful impact.
Mm. What inspires you, Joyce? What keeps you going? What is it that every morning you look forward to your mission and inspiring not just yourself but others? What is it? What's the mechanism that you fall to?
I think the people, I'm such a people person, that I try and see everyone individually and meet them where they are. One of the things I will say that, like, since I've been in New York, which has only been a couple of months now, I believe in not commuting, but living close to the workplaces that I'm at. So I can walk to work. I have a 4-minute walk to work. What should take me 10 minutes by the time I walk in the building to get to my office could take me 45 minutes because I'm stopping along the way to talk to the housekeeper or talk to that security guard that's at the gate, just saying hello and good morning and how their day is going, or touching bases with them on a survey to find out, how well are we doing? How well are we treating our people? The
Mhm.
one thing I will say about our industry is that in the hospitality industry, it's about the frontline employee, right? It's not really about the CEO that sits, in the Ivy Tower. It really is about the people. And so connecting to people is what motivates me. And it's also the thing that I want to do. I remember reading something one time that if you can inspire someone, you can change the world. And so for me, I was like, if I can find ways to inspire people, then that's my legacy, is that my inspiration will change the world.
I love that. Let's talk about your personal style because there's life. This is a all around talk show about. I've always seemed about being well groomed and personal style. What are your feelings about that for yourself and when you're looking at someone to employ?
So I will tell you that I always tell people that you never get an opportunity to have a second impression, right? That first impression matters. And so trust me, I have mentored a lot of young people, right? Because I believe in growing into this new vibrant of generations that we have. But I just want them every day. If I feel like if I come in every day and I'm well groomed and I smell good and it matters to me how I present myself, then they're going to want to present themselves similarly, right? I want to be an example and a beacon for. So, and when I'm not that, and I don't think that I'm seeing that, I remind them, especially our young women, because, this industry, there's not a lot of women, young women that are in management roles, in leadership roles. And I want them to understand that when you walk out here, how you show yourself is how people will receive it. The young ladies always say, wear the dress, don't let the dress wear you. Right. And so they shouldn't remember necessarily what you were wearing. They should remember the person that was wearing the dress. And so you don't want, I don't need the young men on the forklifts, to be cat calling, right? And being disrespectful. But you also have to present yourself with a level of professionalism and to be respected. And so I want to give them that. That's when I walk away. I want to lead with, there's young people in different generations. They think about things differently. Back in the day, my grandmother was well dressed. You know what I'm saying? She had the hats on. Ladies went to church. They had the prayer cloths across the legs. So
Oh,
two
man, that was
wasn't showing.
apostolic
They wasn't
Pentecostal.
playing. They was not playing. No, I actually grew up in a Baptist church, but they was still
Really?
the
And they had prayer
same.
cloth?
Yes, they put those cloths. They wasn't playing, honey. They put those
Yeah.
cloths across those legs. Don't be
Yeah.
coming here with them little short dresses
So,
on.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, disturbing the deacons and
The
stuff.
dig.
My grandmother didn't
That's
play.
something new because I grew up in Baptist, but I didn't find that until my Pentecostal experience about the prayer, you know,
When they put it across
lap
the,
scarves.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh my
Yes, my
goodness.
grandmother didn't play. Now, man, she might have gone to Episcopal. I don't think she did earlier. I mean, there was plenty of times where we would do like share
Yeah.
opera
And
in music because we were real big music church, and so we would perform in different places. But yeah, they was big. She was big on that, putting something across your, especially if your dress was short. She was like, that dress too short. You need
that's
something across your. Yes, and she kept them, stacked up in the back, like Miss So and So need a prayer cloth across her dress.
what is name a couple things that make you happy.
What makes me happy? I can tell you a good book
Mm.
makes me happy. A beautiful sunny day makes me happy. I'm very simple. Um, a good meal makes me
Yeah.
happy. A good meal makes me happy. And seeing my children, I am a mother,
Mm.
so seeing my children happy and doing what makes them happy makes me happy. I keep it very simple. Family makes me happy. I'm huge on family. I grew up with nothing but we had each other, big family. My mother is is the second of 12 siblings.
Mm. Lots
And
of
actually
cousins
the
and
matriarch of our family at this time, my
mm,
grandmother lived to be 100. So the women, there's a lot of women in my family. So I
mm,
was raised by a lot of women, a lot of smart women, not necessarily educated, but very, very intelligent, made a lot of sacrifices for our family. And so I think those things, really being able to be around my family, take care of them, make sure they are good. I know that that would have made my grandmother proud. And so I try to make sure that I am the kind of granddaughter that represented what she would have wanted our family to be.
mm. I love that. Give us a short piece of advice that you would give someone that was thinking about your industry and to be excited in this climate that we're feeling that would inspire them to say, hey, this is something that I want to do. What would be your advice to them?
My advice would be, if only go into this industry if you really, really, really enjoy being around people, because this industry is a people industry. I've heard people in my day where they would say, I really don't like people. And I would say, well, you're in the wrong business. I would tell them um, to show up and show out, be willing to always learn, right? Because I've learned a lot across the industry, but that there's nothing that they can't do. And when they're in the space, they owe it to bring other people in as well. So like when you're someplace, if as you crack the door or break the glass ceilings, make sure that you pull other people in with you. Remembering that you're a flower, you're a seed, and seeds need to be watered. So make sure that you get the mentorship and the support that you need, but also be of support, right?
Mhm.
Water others as just the same way you're being watered, make sure you water others.
Mm. Joyce Leveston, thank
Yes.
you so, so much. You got to come back and we got to finish this. Hopefully, it'll be uh, here in Washington, but I want to talk to you in New York and we can go for a walk and have that champagne and some chicken wings if you're up for
You
it.
know, you know I love a chicken wing. You know I love a chicken wing and love me some bubbles. So
Yes,
I
my dear
love that
friend.
invitation. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on. And where can our listeners reach out to you and connect with you?
You can connect with me here. My email is jleveston, Leveston, at javidscenter.com.
Mm,
Or find me on LinkedIn under Joyce Leveston and again under Javits Center.
I love it. Thank you for tuning into Inside Style. I'm George Worrell. And remember, real style starts with being comfortable in your own skin. We'll see you next time.